Question. If a trailer covers the spotlight of the towing vehicle, where else must a stoplight be? Option number 1. At the rear of the trailer. Option number 2. At the rear of the towing vehicle. Option number 3. At the front of the trailer. Option number 4. At the front of the towing vehicle. The answer is option number 1. At the rear of the trailer. Question. Where should reflectors be mounted? Option number 1. On this side, 2 reflectors, 1 on each side. Option number 2. On the front, 2 reflectors, 1 on each side. Option number 3. On the rear, 2 reflectors, 1 on each side. Option number 4. On the top, 2 reflectors, 1 on each side. The answer is option number 3. On the rear, 2 reflectors, 1 on each side. Note: reflectors must be mounted not less than 24 inches and not more than 60 inches above the ground. If the highest part of the vehicle is less than 24 inches, the reflector should be mounted at the top of the vehicle. The rear reflectors on a pole trailer may be mounted on each side of the load. Any required reflector on the rear of a vehicle may be part of the tail lamp. Question. How many feet to the rear should you be able to see objects through the rear view mirror regardless of load? Option number 1. 100 feet. Option number 2. 200 feet. Option number 3. 300 feet. Option number 4. 400 feet. The answer is option number 2. 200 feet. Note: no matter what kind of load you are carrying, you must have a rear view mirror that allows you to see the highway at least 200 feet behind you. Question. When one vehicle is towing another by means of a chain, what does the chain need to have displayed on it? Option number 1. Yellow flag. Option number 2. Green flag. Option number 3. Red flag. Option number 4. White flag. The answer is option number 4. White flag. Note: if a chain, rope or cable is used as the throwing connection, you must have a white flag at least 12 inches square attached to it. Question. How long can the drawbar be between the towing vehicle and the vehicle being towed? Option number 1. It must not be more than 10 feet long, unless you are towing poles, pipes, machinery or other objects that cannot be easily taken apart. Option number 2. It must not be more than 15 feet long, unless you are towing poles, pipes, machinery or other objects that cannot be easily taken apart. Option number 3. It must not be more than 20 feet long, unless you are towing poles, pipes, machinery or other objects that cannot be easily taken apart. Option number 4. It must not be more than 25 feet long, unless you are towing poles, pipes, machinery or other objects that cannot be easily taken apart. The answer is option number 2. It must not be more than 15 feet long unless you are towing poles, pipes, machineries or other objects that cannot be easily taken apart. Note: the following rules apply to the drawbar or towing connection. It must be strong enough to pull all towed weight. It must not be more than 15 feet long unless you are towing poles, pipes, machinery or other objects that cannot be easily taken apart. If a chain, rope or cable is used as a towing connection, you must have a white flag at least 12 inches square attached to it. Question. If you allow your license to be used for a purpose that is against the law, option number 1. Your license will be revoked. Option number 2. Your license will be suspended. Option number 3. Your license will be taken into custody. Option number 4. Your license will be renewed. The answer is option number 2. Your license will be suspended. Note: Your license can be suspended if you make a fraudulent driver license application, are not able to drive safely, allow your license to be used for a purpose that is against the law, are convicted in a traffic court and the court orders that your license be suspended, refuse to take a test to show if you are driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs, misuse a restricted license, earn a certain number of points for traffic offenses on the point system, break a traffic law and fail to pay your fine or appear in court as directed. Question: if you are guilty of lying about the ownership or operation of motor vehicles, option number 1, your license will be revoked. Option number 2, your license will be suspended. Option number 3, your license will be taken into custody. Option number 4, your license will be renewed. The answer is option number 1. Your license will be revoked. Note: your license can be revoked if you driving while under the influence of alcohol, drugs or other controlled substances, a felony in which a motor vehicle is used, not stopping to give help when the vehicle you are driving is involved in a crash causing death or personal injury, lying about the ownership or operation of motor vehicles, 3 cases of reckless driving within 1 year, forfeiting bail and not going to court to avoid being convicted of reckless driving counts the same as conviction, an immoral act in which a motor vehicle was used, 3 major offenses or 15 offenses for which you receive points within a 5-year period, a felony for drug possession. Vision worse than the standard minimum requirements. Question: a licensed driver who is under the age of 17 unless accompanied by a driver who is 21 years or older and holds a valid license may not operate a motor vehicle between option number 1, 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Option number 2, 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Option number 3, 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. Option number 4, 11:30 p.m. and 6 a.m. The answer is option number 3, 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. Note: a licensed driver class E or higher who is under the age of 17 may not operate a motor vehicle between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. unless accompanied by a driver who is 21 years of age or older and holds a valid driver license class E or higher, or the operator is driving to or from work. A licensed driver class E or higher who is 17 years of age may not operate a motor vehicle between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. unless accompanied by a driver who is 21 years of age or older and holds a valid driver license class E or higher, or the operator is driving to and from work. Question: it takes dash for your body to get rid of each drink. Option 1, 1 hour. Option 2, 2 hour. Option 3, 3 hour. Option 4, 4 hour. The answer is option 1, 1 hour. Question: in an open intersection, if you enter or cross a state highway from a secondary road, option 1, you must not yield the right of way. Option 2, you must yield the right of way. Option 3, you should ignore and go straight ahead. Option 4, you should come to a complete stop. The answer is option 2, you must yield the right of way. Note: an open intersection is one without traffic control signs or signals. When you enter one, you must yield the right of way if a vehicle is already in the intersection, you enter or cross a state highway from a secondary road, you enter a paved road from an unpaved road, you plan to make a left turn and a vehicle is approaching from the opposite direction. When 2 cars enter an open intersection at the same time, the driver on the left must yield to the driver on the right. Question: the central lane of a 3 or 5 lane highway is used only for option 1, parking. Option number 2, making a U-turn. Option number 3, turning right. Option number 4, turning left. The answer is option number 4, turning left. Note: the center lane of a 3-lane or 5-lane highway is used only for turning left. If you see red reflectors facing you on the lane lines, you are on the wrong side of the road. Get into the proper lane immediately. Question: you may not pass someone on a 2-lane road with traffic moving in opposite directions when option number 1, a broken yellow line is painted on your side of the center line. Option number 2, a yellow solid line is painted on your side of the center line. Option number 3, a broken white line is painted on your side of the center line. Option number 4, a solid white line is painted on your side of the center line. The answer is option number 2. A solid yellow line is painted on your side of the center line. Note: white and yellow lines are used along pavement edges and between lanes to keep vehicles in line. These lines may be solid or broken, long dashes, single or double. Yellow lane lines separate lanes of traffic moving in opposite directions. Single yellow lines may also mark the left edge of the pavement on divided highways and one-way streets. A solid yellow line to the right of a broken yellow center line means passing or crossing is prohibited in that lane except when turning left. If the broken line is closer to you, you can cross the broken line only to pass another vehicle and only when it is safe to do so. Double solid yellow lines prohibit vehicles moving in either direction from crossing the lines. You may not cross these lines unless turning left when it is safe to do so. Question: a yellow X means option number 1, your lane signal is going to change to blue. Option number 2, your lane signal is going to change to orange. Option number 3, your lane signal is going to change to green. Option number 4, your lane signal is going to change to red. The answer is option number 4. Your lane signal is going to change to red. Note: a yellow X means that your lane signal is going to change to red. Prepare to leave the lane safely. You may drive in lanes beneath the green arrow, but you must also obey all other signs and signals. Question: the color for a construction and maintenance warning. Option number 1, orange. Option number 2, red. Option number 3, green. Option number 4, yellow. The answer is option number 1, orange. Note: there are 8 shapes and 8 colors of traffic signs. Each shape and each color has an exact meaning, so you must acquaint yourself with all of them. Green, guide directional information. Red, stop, do not enter or wrong way. Blue, motorist services guidance, also used to identify parking spaces for disabled drivers. Orange, construction and maintenance warning. Brown, public recreation areas and scenic guidance. Yellow, general warning. White, regulatory. Black, regulatory. Question: suppose you are driving on a 4-lane highway. From which lane should you turn? Into which lane should you turn? Option number 1, left to right, right to left, corresponding lane. Option number 2, left to left, right to left, corresponding lane. Option number 3, left to left, right to right, corresponding lane. Option number 4, left to right, right to right, corresponding lane. The answer is option number 3, left to left, right to right, corresponding lane. Note: if you are turning right from a 4-lane, do it from the right lane. If left, then do it from the left lane. If the road you are turning on to use the closest lane, right for a right turn and left for a left turn. Question: what does a red traffic light mean? What does a flashing red traffic light mean? Option number 1, Come to a complete stop at the marked stop line or before moving into the crosswalk or intersection. Option number 2. Go, but only if the intersection is clear. Yield to pedestrians and vehicles still in the intersection. Option number 3. Stop if you can. The light will soon be red. A flashing red light means you may move forward with caution. Option number 4. Come to a complete stop. A flashing red light means the same thing as a stop sign. The answer is option number 4. Come to a complete stop. A flashing red light means the same thing as a stop sign. Note: a flashing red light means the same thing as a stop sign. It is used at dangerous intersections. Question: can you proceed with caution when you approach a flashing yellow light? Option number 1. Yes. A flashing yellow light means you may move forward with caution. Option number 2. No. A flashing yellow light means you cannot move forward. Option number 3. No. A flashing yellow light means a stop sign. Option number 4. Yes. A flashing yellow light means you may move forward with caution only when the way is clear. The answer is option number 1. Yes. A flashing yellow light means you may move forward with caution. Note: a flashing yellow light means you may move forward with caution. It is used at or just before dangerous intersections or to alert you to a warning sign such as school crossing or sharp curve. Question: what does a double solid yellow line in the center of the highway mean? Option number 1. You may not cross these lines unless turning right. Option number 2. You may not cross these lines unless turning left. Option number 3. You may not cross these lines unless making U-turn. Option number 4. You may cross these lines unless turning left. The answer is option number 2. You may not cross these lines unless turning left. Note: double solid yellow lines prohibit vehicles moving in either direction from crossing the lines. You may not cross these lines unless turning left when it is safe to do so. Question: what does a broken white line on the highway mean? Option number 1. You may cross these lines but with care. Option number 2. You may not cross these lines. Option number 3. You may not cross these lines unless making left turn. Option number 4. You may not cross these lines unless making right turn. The answer is option number 1. You may cross these lines but with care. Note: a broken white line separates two lanes traveling in the same direction. Once you have signaled and if it is safe to do so, you may cross these lines when changing lanes. Broken white lines separate lines of traffic going in the same direction. They may be crossed with care. Question: when the foot brake is pressed, which light must come on? Option number 1. Turning light. Option number 2. Headlight. Option number 3. Fog light. Option number 4. Brake light. The answer is option number 4. Brake light. Question: how many feet to the rear should you be able to see objects through the rear view mirror regardless of load? Option number 1. 100 feet. Option number 2. 200 feet. Option number 3. 300 feet. Option number 4. 400 feet. The answer is option number 2. 200 feet. Note: no matter what kind of load you are carrying, you must have a rear view mirror that allows you to see the highway at least 200 feet behind you. Question: assume that a load extends 4 or more feet beyond the bed or body of a vehicle driven on a highway in the daytime. How many flags must be used to mark it and what color should they be? Option number 1. In the daytime, 3 red flags at least 10 inches square. Option number 2. In the daytime, 4 red flags at least 12 inches square. Option number 3. In the daytime, 5 red flags at least 15 inches square. Option number 4. In the daytime, 6 red flags at least 18 inches square. The answer is option number 2. In the daytime, 4 red flags at least 12 inches square. Note: in the daytime, red flags at least 12 inches square must be placed on the projecting load where red lamps are used at night, extreme rear and sides. At night or when you cannot see clearly at least 1000 feet ahead, the following markers must be used. Two red lamps on the back of the load which can be seen from at least 500 feet to the rear. Two red reflectors on the rear which can be seen at night from all distances between 100 and 600 feet when directly in front of low beam headlights. These reflectors should be placed to show the full width of the load. Two red lamps, one on each side of the load, which can be seen from at least 500 feet. These lamps should be placed near the end of the projecting load. Question: give 3 examples of loads that need to be covered to avoid items falling or blowing on roadway. Option number 1: vegetables, fruits, rice or wheat. Option number 2: dirt, sand, trash or garbage. Option number 3: stone, brick, cement or sand. Option number 4: oil, water, liquid nitrogen or petroleum products. The answer is option number 2: dirt, sand, trash or garbage. Question: after a full stop at a red traffic light, may a driver turn right if the way is clear? Option number 1: yes. Option number 2: no. The answer is option number 1: yes. Note: come to a complete stop at the marked stop line or before moving into the crosswalk or intersection. After stopping, you may turn right on red at most intersections if the way is clear. Some intersections display a no turn on red sign, which you must obey. Left turns on red from a one-way street into a one-way street are also allowed. Question: what does a green arrow showing at the same time as a red traffic light mean you can do? Option number 1: if a green arrow is shown with a red light, you can drive freely. Option number 2: if a green arrow is shown with a red light, you cannot drive and you have to come to a complete stop. Option number 3: if a green arrow is shown with a red light, you can only drive in the opposite direction of the arrow. Option number 4: if a green arrow is shown with a red light, you can only drive in the direction of the arrow and only if the intersection is clear. The answer is option number 4. If a green arrow is shown with a red light, you can only drive in the direction of the arrow and only if the intersection is clear. Note: a green arrow pointing right or left means you may make a turn in the direction of the arrow. If the red light is burning at the same time, you must be in the proper lane for such a turn, and you must yield the right of way to vehicles and pedestrians within the intersection. Question: under what conditions must you use your headlights when driving in the daytime? Option number 1: during any rain, smoke or fog. Option number 2: during sunny day, storm or flood. Option number 3: during morning, noon or evening. The answer is option number 1: during any rain, smoke or fog. Note: headlights must be on during the time between sunset and sunrise with no exceptions. There is a windshield wiper law in effect for headlight use. When the windshield wipers are on, the headlights must be on. Rain, fog, smoke or mist conditions require headlights be turned on. Question: within how many feet of an oncoming vehicle should you dim your bright headlights? Option number 1: 200 feet. Option number 2: 300 feet. Option number 3: 400 feet. Option number 4: 500 feet. The answer is option number 4: 500 feet. Note: If you are driving with your high beams lights on, you must dim them at least 500 feet from any oncoming vehicle so you don't blind the oncoming driver. You must use low beam lights if you are within 200 to 300 feet of the vehicle you are following. Question: driving while calling or answering, talking or texting on a mobile phone is option number 1, a good driving habit. Option number 2, a dangerous driving habit. Option number 3, a legal driving habit. Option number 4, a best driving habit. The answer is option number 2, a dangerous driving habit. Note: texting requires all three types of distraction, making it one of the most dangerous of distracted driving behaviors. However, this is not only the cause of distracted driving. Other common distractions include tending of kids or passengers in the backseat, eating, watching an event outside of the vehicle, interacting with passengers, unsecured pets, putting on makeup or grooming, adjusting radio or climate controls, checking your GPS app or daydreaming. Question: what are your responsibilities in traffic crashes? Option number 1, stop. Option number 2, report the crash. Option number 3, move car if it is blocking traffic. Option number 4, appear in court. Option number 5, all of the above. The answer is option number 5, all of the above. Question: on what conditions you cannot get a license in Florida? Option number 1, if your license is suspended or revoked in any state. Option number 2, if you are addicted to drugs or alcohol. Option number 3, if you cannot drive safely because of mental or physical problems. Deafness alone will not prevent a person from being issued a driver license. Option number 4, if you are under the legal age of licensing, 15 for learner's license, 16 for class D or E. Option number 5, all of the above. The answer is option number 5, all of the above. Note: every driver who gets a license must drive safely to keep it. If you break the traffic laws or become an unsafe driver, your license can be taken away. It can be suspended, revoked, or cancelled. When your license is suspended, it is temporarily taken away.